Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, sir.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You could see the recording in progress also, right? Yeah, recording is in
Yes.
progress. So in the last class, we had started doing data analysis on a new topic, that is on mental health. So our problem statement was just to figure out the essential parameters affecting mental health and its acceptance. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
So basically what we did was we learned about the data set and did a pre-profiling, right? So after pre-profiling, we had some issues with the data set, especially like gender had 49 distinct responses. Even your age was just a numeric, and the rest everything was object. You had state had missing values. You had self-employed had missing values. Work interference has missing values. Okay, and comments had only 10% of the data set. So we fixed everything. After normalizing, we did outlier treatment also, and while fixing the age column, we had to remove 5 rows. Okay, and while fixing the gender column, once again we had to drop few rows. That is, in place of gender there were some junk values like a little about you or just a word p or letter p. Okay, so total we dropped about 7 rows, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so later down the line, we after we fixed the data set, we understood the distribution of gender, whereas the data set has a maximum of male, female, and then a small fraction of trans. Okay, now so in gender, I see that how many have sorted the treatment. So basically, this is a subplot. Basically, whenever you want to plot the graph side by side and compare, basically I need to compare the pie chart side by side. I define a subplot. That is, I need 1 row and 3 columns of figure size. This is the figure size for the whole plot. Okay, and I plot 3 subplots. That is, first for female, this I mean first for male. So this pie chart has only male who has sorted the treatment, who has not who has taken the treatment, has not taken the treatment. In the second plot you have female, and the third plot you have trans. What do you observe in this plot? You might find it little confusing because Seaborn has its own way of representing the data. Basically, here the blue is yes in these two plots, whereas here the blue is no and orange is yes. Okay. Now, what do you basically infer from this plot? Which gender is more likely to take treatment? Is it male, female, or trans?
Trans. No, wait.
Yeah, you're right.
Female and trans, both.
Trans and female more than me.
If I ask an order, if I ask for an order, like in which order would I see? Who will come first with respect to opting the treatment?
Females.
So in serial number 1, you get trans. In serial number
Yes.
2,
Female.
female, followed by male.
Male.
So this is important information about gender. So that is how is gender decide your chances of taking the treatment. Correct? So we learned that males have less chances of taking treatment as opposed to females and trans. Trans has about 78% chance of taking the treatment. Okay, now I do a quick pandas profiling. Okay, after cleaning the data set, basically the distribution of gender with respect to the treatment supposed to be in the EDA part, but since we have fixed the data set, it is come somewhere here. You can put it normally. You can put it in the EDA part. So after fixing the data, I still see that there are some missing cells. Okay, there are still some missing cells. That is basically from my state category. Okay, but I'll not be more focused about analyzing my data with respect to state, because maximum the state comes only when the country is US. Okay, so apart from that, I don't see any missing values. Now coming to the column that is the target column, that is your treatment. Here's the column. Coming to the treatment, is it balanced? Almost 50-50, right?
Yes.
It is almost 50-50. Okay. So what I do is I take a copy of the data set and I am going to introduce a topic called as label encoder. Okay. Did I? Oh. We'll talk about a concept called as label encoder. Are you able to see the whiteboard?
Yes, sir.
Now, this is a very important and complex insight for your categorical columns. Okay, you use this technique for your categorical columns. So this is where the fun becomes when you want to analyze categorical data. So the problem with categorical column is that I cannot go deep into my analysis. Okay, when I'm analyzing my categorical column, I cannot go deep. I cannot compare that column with any other column. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So the reason being, categorical data limits your descriptive statistics. it has only 4 varieties. That is your count, you have unique, you have mode, and you have your frequency of mode. Correct? It has only these 4 varieties when it comes to your analysis. Now, today I'm going to teach you one more fancy concept which helps you look at the correlation of categorical data. Correct? For that, you have to understand a simple idea. You have to understand one simple idea. Let's say that you go to the shop. You go to shop 1. After that, you go to shop 2. And you go to shop 3. When you enter shop 1, the first thing you notice is apple. After that, banana. And then you notice cherries. Okay. You enter shop 2, you notice banana first, then apple, then cherries. Okay. Whereas when you enter third shop, you see apple, banana, and cherries. Okay. Now, which columns are highly correlated?
One and
The column 1 and 3. When you see the correlation, you will get a correlation of 1 with respect to this, whereas here you might get somewhere around 50 or 60 points or 60%, I can see. Correct? But the same data, if I feed it to my function dot core, will I get the output? The answer is no, because this function only takes numerical input. Okay. So what else I can do to this data set to smoothly understand the correlation of the columns? So to make this more smarter, what I can do is I can introduce numbers. I can give apple as 0, banana as 1, and cherry as 2. Okay, here banana becomes 1, this becomes 0, here 2, again 0, 1, and 2. Okay, now what happens to my data now? You can say shop 1, shop 2, shop 3. This will be 0, 1, and 2, 0, 1, and 2. This will be 1, 0, and 2. Okay. Now, can I apply correlation on my data? Can I apply .corr function?
yes,
Correct. We get CORR as 1 between shop 1 and 3 and some value between shop 1 and 2. So, introducing a small tweak by converting your textual data to numbers to find a correlation. So this is called as your label encoding. Just find your label encoding. Okay. Now, there's one more catch here. Let's say your shop 1 is having apple, banana, and cherries. Your shop 2 is having banana, apple, and cherries. Whereas in shop 3, you have gearbox, you have wiper, you have rear view mirror. Okay. Now, does it make sense to convert them into numerical and see which shop has a higher correlation? Can I find the correlation between 1 and 3 and 2 and 3? Technically, I can find, but does it make sense? No, right?
Those.
No. So I can apply the concept only when I have columns which are similar in nature. Okay. So here in our data set, okay, most of the columns has yes, no, and maybe, right? So we are going to use this concept of label encoding to convert this yes, no, and maybe to, I say I use don't know or maybe to 0, followed by no to 1 and yes to 2. How label encoding works is whenever you have option like this, it sees these alphabets and arranges them in ascending order and gives the number 0, 1, 2. It gives the number based on ascending order. Okay. So every column which has this yes, no, maybe, we can compare them side by side. Is this clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Now, coming to the data set, what I do is, in order to use label encoding, I have to import it. So scikit-learn is a very popular function library when it comes to machine learning and your data scaling. And scikit-learn has a lot of powerful functions. One of the function is your label encoder. Okay. So basically, when you use label encoder or when you use any function from scikit-learn, you have 3 following steps. The first step is you import it. The second step is to is to call the function. Okay. Third is to fit it into your data using dot fit. Okay. And the fourth is to you transform by calling dot transform. Okay. Or predict something using dot predict. So basically you import the function or import the module. Here I can use import sklearn. Okay. After you import, you have to call the function. Let's say that I'll give an example of your scaling. In order to scale the data, first what I do is I import my library, that is from sklearn dot, I think it is pre-processing, I import my min-max scalar. Okay. Then I call the function, that is, I define the function, that is, I define it through a word called scalar equal to the same function. I type it here, scalar with brackets. Okay. Then once it is defined, I use this to dot fit of my data, and then here I want to transform my data set and not predict. I need to transform it. Predict comes when you use your machine learning. Okay, so I do scalar dot transform of my data. So when I do transform, I have to define a new variable here. Let's say data 2 equal to. Okay, so the output of your data 2 will be your scaled data. Is it clear? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, now I import my function, my module, that is from pre-processing. I do import label encoder. If you have, you can just give a tab here. You have all the functions which are here. I explained with the help of a min-max scalar, whereas you can use label encoder here. Once you import it, you have to define a function. Okay, here after defining a function, what I am doing is I am using fit underscore transform instead of using dot fit and dot transform in two different steps. I am using a single function called fit underscore transform. Okay, and I'm converting all my categorical columns to numerical columns. Okay, so normally whatever the data set I have here, I take a copy. Okay, dot my data set is object. I need them in string format in order to use this function. Okay, and I run a for loop dot columns. What I do is, if I do dot columns, basically I get list of columns. So basically label encoder iterates over list of columns and converts them into your categorical columns. Now after conversion, if I see mh dot new dot head, I can see all my columns transferred from your yes, no, don't know. It was somewhere here, I think. Your yes, no, don't know, often, rarely, all these words have been converted to the numbers. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So basically, once I call this function, once I create this function, I can use it anywhere. So just to give an idea, so I have three files: yes, no, and maybe. In alphabetical order, I can say which will come first. M comes first, right?
Yes, sir.
So M gets a value 0, N gets a value 1, and S gets a value
2.
2. Okay. So if you give dot fit, basically you give dot fit for the function to learn the input, for the function to learn and understand what input am I currently holding in the column. So it will learn over here when you give dot fit, when you give transform, whatever it has learned, it will transform it into numerical. It throws the numerical output. Okay. Or you can use inverse transform to understand the other way, but I do not recommend this because we don't use it anywhere. You can just focus on dot fit and dot transform for your label encoder, for your scaling, min-max scaler, correct? Now your data set is completely numerical. Even for gender, I have 0, 1 and 2. So can anybody tell me what could be the ratio? Who could be 0 here? Basically in gender I had I had male, female and trans. Now which is 0, which is 1 and which is 2?
Female 0, male 1, and trans 2.
Trans 2. Okay. So what I can do is I can verify it. That is mh underscore new dot, I call the gender dot, I get value counts, or I can dot plot it as bar. Okay, so you had this gender, like gender has highest, male has highest frequency, followed by female, followed by trans. If you come back here, you get the same ratio, whereas here it was more textual data when it comes to count plot, whereas here you have more of numerical data. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now moving on. Now that I converted all my columns to numerical, I can do my correlation. I can check, basically I can check my correlation and I can plot my heat map. Basically I can plot my heat map, correct?
Yes.
So now that I have heat map in my mind, in my hand, do I really need to analyze all my columns when it comes to EDA? If you see the problem statement, my problem statement is figure out the essential parameters affecting mental health and its acceptance, correct? Basically I need to do is, I need to, out of all these parameters, I need to find essential parameters affecting mental health. So I have a target variable called treatment, correct? Have you sought treatment for mental health? This is my target variable. So with respect to this, I can find which column has a correlation with target variable, and I can only pick those variables and do the deeper analysis, correct? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, so coming to the heat map. Okay, you can see here clean age and age group are highly correlated. Why? Why is this? What did we do for age clean? It's basically mirror image, right? It's basically mirror image, right? Age clean is something what we created. And how did we create it? We used age group to create it, right? Are you guys with me? Basically, we use age column to create age clean and age group. You can see that all three are highly correlated. Is it clear? Now, family history has high correlation with treatment,
Treatment.
correct? So this
Yes.
is a use case. If you have a family history, you are tend to take the treatment, correct? Remote work with respect to your self-employed go hand in hand. If you are self-employed, if you are a freelancer, do you really work in office? No, right? You
No.
work remotely, correct? Coming to tech company is highly correlated with remote work. Once again, obviously that when you work on for a tech company, you get work from home benefits, correct? You can work remotely also. You can also see here the correlation band for these features. What are these features? Benefits, care options, wellness program, seek help, anonymity, correct? If it's a good company, all will be yes. If it's a bad company, all will be no, correct? Are you guys with me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Last thing is I can see co-workers. Okay, co-workers correlating with your supervisor. So if your supervisor is shouting and scolding, what do you expect from your co-workers? They are also exposed to the same atmosphere, right? On the other hand, if your supervisor is very supportive, your co-workers also will also are supportive, right?
Yes.
So again, apple to apple comparison. Do you find any other comparison here? Anything else? Your gender and treatment is towards negatively correlated.
Yes.
It's negatively correlated, correct? Any idea why? Because when we saw the data, when we saw the gender distribution, it was more of male gender. And do male go for treatment? Maximum male do not go for treatment, and that is why you have a negative correlation between your gender and treatment. Correct? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I make a note of all these columns. I make a note of all these columns in my correlation of in my heat map, and then I proceed with my EDA. So technically I have not started the EDA yet, but I know really good information about the data. Okay, so now we will start the EDA part. Okay. So basically when we start EDA, we were supposed to put this option, that is comparison of your gender with the treatment, your gender with treatment in the first section and or the first comparison in the EDA, but we have already done it. So now we have to move forward with treatment versus work interference. Okay, now for our EDA, what I'll do is I'll keep this separate. Okay, it will be easy for us to okay. Now treatment versus work interference. I had 4 sections in treatment, often, rarely, never, and sometimes. I categorize them and plot 4 pie charts. So the first pie chart is the category of people who often face work interference and whether they go for treatment or no. Whether they go, if they go for treatment, that is yes, and if they don't go for treatment, that is no. Correct? And the similar case, I plot the other categories also. What can you what can you infer from this plot? So look at the plots very carefully and tell me what is the relation between treatment and work interference. So in plot 1, where work interference is often, right? People tend to go for, or people tend to sought more treatment, correct? Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Now, coming to sometimes. Sometimes is in the middle ground here. It is 50-50. You may go for treatment, you may not go for treatment. Correct? But the real difference is between your rarely and never. Now, is rarely close to some often or never? Is rarely more close to often or never?
Never.
It's closer to never, right?
Yes, sir.
But why is this having an opposite behavior with respect to never? Any guesses? Take a step back and see the question. The question here is, if you have a mental health condition, do you feel that it interferes with your work? That is the question. Basically, who answers this question? People who have mental health, only they answer, right? The ones who have it. If the person who is suffering, will they answer never? Are you guys with me? The only people who ask who seek mental treatment are the ones who understand the intensity, often and rarely are the degree of intensities. And work interference had around 21% missing values. Correct? If you see carefully, work interference had 21% missing values. Where is our observation? Work interference had missing values. Correct? So who would skip the question when I say it had missing values? Who would skip the question? Any guesses? Somebody who do not have mental health condition, right? Are you guys
Yes,
with
sir.
me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our data is majority on never and sometimes side. So even if you replace with the mode, is it still safe? The answer is yes. Okay. Moving on to age category and seeking treatment. Okay. So first we did gender, then we did work interference. Now we are doing comparing age category versus seeking treatment. Okay. I draw a violin plot and understand that if people with higher age group tend to seek treatment than people with younger age. So you can expect them to seek treatment. People with higher age are more expected to seek treatment. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I note down the observation and move on to family history versus seeking treatment. Okay. So how do family history and seeking treatment are related? So how can you find the relation here in this bar plot? Basically, I use a count plot, but only difference is while plotting.
So your voice was breaking, so couldn't hear anything.
Okay. Shaina, you have are you facing the same issue? Shaina, hello.
I can't hear you.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Should we restart? Should I
Yes,
restart the
sir.
session?
Yes, yes. I'm not well, so I just rushed to the washroom.
Okay, okay. Minute. Are you hearing clearly now, Samantha?
Yes, sir. It's proper.
I just moved my phone to a different location now.
Oh,
I can continue, right?
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
So we are in family history versus seeking treatment. Okay. Now, basically it's a count plot. So while plotting the count plot, I plot it using y-axis. So if I remove this y-axis, I still get the plot in x-axis. Okay. Just to understand the plot more clear, we use y-axis. Now, when it comes to comparing yeses and nos in bar graph, how do I compare it? How do you find family history and seeking treatment? The easiest trick could be finding the ratio between yeses to nos. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So here, if I see yes versus no, the ratio is less than 1, right? That is,
Yes.
do they have family health problem? The answer is no. If I see the ratio here of treatment point of view, I see the ratio as less than 1. Whereas here the ratio is greater than 1. I think the ratio here would be around 3. The ratio will be around 3 because your no is almost 1/3 of your yes. Are you with me?
Yes.
Samantha, are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Now, coming to work interference, I discussed with you earlier that work interference had around 22% missing values, right? It had 22% missing values and I replaced it with mode. In the last session, we did this data cleaning, and during the data cleaning, we replaced 22% of missing values using mode. Correct? So, if I remove 22% of my mode, that is sometimes, from work interference, even without it, I can still compare my data, right? At times you might want to find your best variable to replace your missing values, and this is one of such case where you are more confident to replace your missing values with mode, because even without this element, even with this 22% missing data, you can still have clarity on the overall behavior of your data. Are you with me?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's say that I have two behaviors. One is something like this. The other one is something like this. Okay. I can say option number 1 and option number 2. So which one are you more confident on with respect to replacing the missing values? Option 1 or option 2? You'll be confident here, right?
Two.
Option 2, right? Because you know maximum behavior of the crowd is. What is the maximum behavior of the crowd? So you can replace with missing values. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Coming to employee count. Most of the survey answers has come from the employees with less than with the company size of less than 1,000 employees. Correct?
Yes.
Now, how does the company size depend on mental health? So how do you think the number of employees in your company would depend on the mental health? Basically, you use the ratio once again here. Once again, you can use the ratio here and you can check the distribution with treatment and number of employees. So what will be the ratio here with respect to yes to 1, yes to no, less than 1, right? Here it's more than 1. Once again, more than 1, more than 1, and less than 1. Correct? Now, let's start with 1 to 5 employees. If the company is having only 1 to 5 employees, what type of company you're looking at here? Basically, these are startups, right?
Yes, definitely.
These are startups. So what happens in startups? You have more work and more stress. Correct? That's why the chances of treatment is more here. Correct? Now the company slowly grows to from 5 to 6 to 6 to 25. I see the reversal in trend here. Correct? I see the reversal in trend.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What happens here? So in startup, basically you're focused more into expanding your business. You're always on expanding mode. Correct?
Yes, sir. That
And
makes
once you expand from this stage to this stage, you have more employees. You feel kind of little relieved that your work is distributed. Okay. Now, coming to 26 to 100. Again, the trend has been reversed. Correct? So if you need to grow, from this further, you need to take more stress. So again, that stress has been increased. Correct? So from 100 to 500, again the same trend, but when it comes to 500 to 1000, again there is a reversal. So after 500, it becomes a mid-size company, and things become to ease for a mid-size. So this is kind of a sweet spot for mid-size company where everybody is happy, but your growth never stops. So once the number of employees goes above 1000, this is where all your politics, corporate bureaucracy, all will lead to more mental stress. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so if you want to find an ideal company, here is your answer to work to balance your stress life and work life. Here is your answer. Okay. But once again, you do not have to break too much on this. This is just an observation from what data we have in hand. Okay. Now let us take a small break till 12:10.
Okay,
We'll
sir.
resume the class at 12:10. Okay.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
sir.
Shall we start? Are you guys back?
Yes, sir.
Samantha, are you back? Coming to finding the relationship between gender and treatment, this is something we have already done it here, correct? We have already done it well before the EDA, and if you want to showcase this analysis in some other way, you can go for a simple bar chart, or you can go with the donut chart. Here the outermost layer shows the distribution of treatment, treatment no and treatment yes, like whether they take the treatment or no, not treatment. And for the inner donut, it gives the distribution with respect to the gender. As we discussed earlier, male do not take more treatment with respect to either female or trans. You don't have to normally plot such complicated plots. You can stick with simple bar charts or a small pie chart. That is totally okay, as long as you take the value addition out of your chart. Okay, you can use the swarm plot. You can use Seaborn swarm plot to once again showcase the same idea, that is basically your work interference with age. Okay, and and check the treatment. Okay, so basically you have two colors, one is purple and other one is your brown. Basically you have two colors, one is purple and one is brown. So you can understand the distribution here. You can understand based on the distribution of color. Basically for often and rarely you have more yeses than nos. With respect to when you compare never and sometimes, you have in never you have more nos, correct? But with respect in sometimes you have mixture of both. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and coming to the next topic, like when you have geographical data point of view, when you have a column which represents the countries, we should also give a importance to geographical analysis also. So you need to check your data with respect to geographical perspective. So you can see the distribution of the data with respect to what countries information you have. Basically you have a you're going to check a count plot of your country, that is the distribution of your countries. That is, first is your United States, which is having maximum data around 70%, I can say, followed by your UK, Canada, Germany, Netherlands. So now these are all your first world countries. So the data has around 80% of first world countries. So instead of going for entire data, we can only narrow down to first world countries and see how different is this data from the one you already know. So we noticed that the data had maximum entries or maximum surveys taken from United States. In United States, we can see the state-wise distribution, and maximum you can find the entries from California. Any idea why? Basically, California is like a Bangalore of US, where you have a lot of tech companies. You have highest number of tech offices in California, and that is why the service is maximum from California. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now I can see the distribution of first world countries. That is basically I see Canada, take United States, and I take United Kingdom, and I concat them into a different data set. Okay. Once that is done, I see the distribution. That is, I see the distribution and understand that first world country has around 80% of the entries. Right? This is the total length of my data set. First world countries has 80% of my entries. Okay. And I use the same data set of first world and I see the work interference. And do you see anything different here with respect to what you see earlier, what you saw earlier? It was somewhere here, right? Anything different? More or less same only, right? More or less same, because 80% of my data set is from first world countries. Are you guys with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, even when I narrow down my analysis to top 3 countries, I can see the distribution of the treatment. I can see the distribution of treatment, and we saw the distribution of treatment earlier after we clean the data. So overall, in overall data, I have 50-50%, whereas in top countries, I have slightly promising result for yes, right? Now the distribution is 53 is to 47, or I can say 54.5 is to 47. What can I infer from this? The ratio is slightly more, right?
Yes, sir.
So I can infer that the first world countries are willing to go for treatment, correct? Compared to overall data. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So once again, I see the ratio between male, female, and trans, and I get almost the same results where the female and trans tend to sort the treatment more compared to male. Correct? Now, relation between mental health and attitude. Okay. Now, with the data what I have, How can I find the attitude of the company? Basically this column. How can I find the attitude of the company? Which column I can use to find attitude of the company?
Positive, negative.
There is a column called as mental health consequence. It says, do you think that discussing a mental health issue with your employer would have negative consequence? Correct? If the answer is yes, that means the company is having negative attitude. If the answer is no, then the company is having positive attitude. If the answer is maybe, I can say it as the attitude of the company is moderate. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
It's clear, right? So this discussion basically point out to an answer from the company. Correct? Basically, you can figure out how the attitude of the company is through this particular line of data from this particular column or feature from your data. So basically what I do is I note down positive as no, negative as yes, and moderate as maybe, and I use apply function followed by lambda, and I create a separate column called as attitude, which is over here. Okay, so once I get the attitude, what I do is I find how many positive attitude are there, how many negative are there, correct? And I plot it. What can I infer from this? There are very few negative companies, right? And more of positive and moderate companies. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
So it's a good news that we are analyzing this, right? So the companies take care. If you have a mental health, mental health issue, and you discuss with the employer, most of the time the reaction would be towards positive, right? This is a good point to the companies in first world countries or in the entire data set. Okay, so once I analyze each and every feature, just like the last data set, we make a note of all the observations. Basically what I do is, as and when we analyze each and every column and with the relationships, we make a note here with respect to each and every chart or each and every relation, and finally we glance through it and make the conclusion. So basically I give the section of the data, and I said how many entries were there and how many were from the top 3 countries, that is first world countries. And in United States, where exactly the participation from, correct? And California chart had maximum, and with the distribution with respect to male, female, and trans, correct? And which are the important features? Basically, the problem statement was to identify the which are important features, that was family history, work interference, number of employees of the company, the age category are the main parameters collectively from the sections where you analyzed. And we come across, we do some more and research, and some insights from the data give us actionable insights. That is, the first is to arrange for education and mental health. Correct? So you might see this in some companies, and you have like managers or support system of the companies. Correct? That is basically to decide the culture of the company. That is that is top to bottom or bottom to top analysis. And you have certain treatment measures. Basically, I give you guys a break of 10 minutes in between just to get the mental peace. So this is also part of a treatment measure. Correct? And
Yes,
coming
sir.
to the last is a regular appreciation of work, where if you do a positive work, a regular appreciation would ease out the mental stress. So this is where I stop my discussion on the EDA, and now our main request would be to complete your EDA project. Correct? To work on
Yes, sir.
the EDA project. And I know that we've been speaking more about the finding relationship between the features, and I could show you how to find the relationship, which are the plots to use and everything. I think I might have missed out a small factor of doing the data cleaning. Okay, so data cleaning is also holds a major part when it comes to data analysis, which I will focus on doing it in the next class. Okay, basically it's going to be like we start with the new data. I'll try to find a very dirty data. Okay, and we jointly clean it in our live class. Okay, that's something we can do it in the next class. Okay, or if you want to, if you need a break of one Sunday to work on your EDA project, we can totally do it. So basically I can give you guys two options. That is, first Sunday is to take 28th off and you work on EDA project, or we do data cleaning on 28th. Okay, and you parallelly work on EDA project. But in order to do that, you guys need to commit the submission date for your EDA project. So this would help me to plan machine learning session. Okay. So with the current trend, the earlier target we had given was end of November. That I think will be very tight for you. Okay. So when can I expect you guys to cover the EDA topic, especially your project?
By first week of December or second week.
Mm,
First week.
yeah, that is fine.
You
We
give
can
us a
set
date,
it
sir.
to 20th of December, no?
Yes, sir.
20th? Okay.
Yeah, we have a lot of practicals. Even in December, we have a final practicals.
Okay, then what I'll do is I'll set it to end of December. Okay, I'll set it to end of December,
Yes, sir.
and so in the next class we can do the data cleaning, right?
Okay.
We'll do the data cleaning in the next class,
Yes, sir.
and we can take a session break on 5th of December.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Okay,
sir. Yeah.
and on 12th we can start the machine learning.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Or you
sir.
guys want me to start machine learning on 19th?
So can we let you know, like Rahul and me, our practicals are around the same time. So it's like this coming week, both of us have our first internal practicals, and after that, second internal. December, we'll have our final practicals. So can we let you know based on those dates when we get it?
Oh, you haven't received the dates, no?
No, for the finals, we have it. Only for the coming week, we have. Like I have Wednesday, Thursday, he has on Tuesday. So it's like that.
Okay, okay. You
Yeah.
discuss
So
among yourself and you.
yes, yes, sir. Yeah.
And Samantha, this is an opportunity for you to practice.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the
Okay,
more
sir.
you practice, now you will get an edge over others.
Yes.
So basically, you were working on a Tableau project, right? Earlier. It was
Yes, sir.
Power BI project.
Power BI, Power BI.
Now the same data set you can do it in using Python, and try to see if there were any hidden values, if there are any missing values, and all the hidden truths.
Oh, okay, sir.
You can do that one-to-one analysis and understand how
Yes, sir.
exactly what new things or new truths you can find using Python.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you have any doubts, you can stay back, or else you can drop off.
So
Thank
are
you,
we
sir.
supposed to tell you which project we choose, or we can start with the topics
If
you've already given?
you are using the topics which you have already given, you can directly start. If you are
Okay.
using a data set something out of those topics, then you can
Only
share the
then,
data
okay.
set. Only then, yeah.
Okay. Okay, sir.
And what I'm going to do is I will upload one more data set, that is basically your Titanic notebook. I'm still working on it. Once that is done, I will upload it in your LMS. Basically, that's going to be similar to the data set what we have. It's an interactive kind of a notebook where you can go through the analysis of the Titanic this one data set. But it often wonders me, like you guys know the Titanic disaster, right? Where the ship was
Yes,
sunk.
sir.
So basically, in that chaotic manner, who had time to actually capture the data and do the analysis? That actually wonders me. Okay, so I'll upload the same in the LMS portal, where you can use that also as a reference for your EDA project.
Okay, sir.
And one more feedback I wanted is, do you guys want me to upload some extra information like some notebooks, some good informative textbooks, or some books which are released on data science?
Yes, sir.
If that would help our career, then yes, sure, sir. Some projects or something like that.
Yeah, but that involves you to do a lot of reading. Okay.
We'll try, sir. We'll definitely.
Yeah, if I find something very informative, I'll upload it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
And parallelly, what you guys can do is there are websites like one is your Analytics Vidya. Okay. Then there is one more website. Let me just. These are kind of website which briefs you or gives you insights about what is happening in the world of data science, especially on the latest updates. Okay, these websites give you the latest updates on what's been happening in the real world, what let's say new modules or new improvements or new versions in your modules, new releases. Correct? So these websites basically give you all the information. Okay, when you get time, just open these websites and read some articles to give you more understanding about the today's world. Okay. You can drop off. If you have any doubts, you can stay back.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye bye.